Hello internet, and today's video is going to be another one of those book opinions, those videos in which I tell you my opinion on a book, and today's book is going to be the last in a trilogy, and that is The End of Infinity by Mac Mullich. And this is a part of Jack Blank trilogy. I've done the previous book opinions on book 1 and 2, so now we're at the final book, Book 3. Now, I'm going to admit that this was the most disappointing of all the books for me. It felt a little rushed and there wasn't much to write about, at least when the author was writing. I thought there was a lot more story to be told. I won't say as a whole the story in itself was disappointing. I thought it did pretty good at wrapping up the end and giving it a conclusion, but I felt that was all it did, was wrap up all these ends instead of adding more to the story and kind of expanding it before it closed the doors on it completely. So this, we follow Jack, right, and he has just been captured at the end of the second book. He is now in the hands of the Rest-of-Ix. They know about his powers, they know about his potential, they know that he can become their greatest warrior. So we start off with him there, and then a couple chapters later he's back at Imagination. Like, we don't see much of his time there, and I really would have liked to see that. I really would have liked to see more than, oh, I had vague memories because they were experimenting on me so much that I can't really remember any of it. And I would have actually liked to see this place that the Rest-of-Ix lived and Jack's experience there, or even just like what he overheard before he got rescued. Any of these sort of things would have been great. I liked learning more about the Rest-of-Ix and why they were so interested in Jack and sort of like what happens to him, but I definitely think that seeing the Rest-of-Ix ship and at least Jack exploring it on his escape or something would have been really interesting and really entertaining. I think overall it was a pretty good wrap up. It definitely was just a middle school grade book, and I know I can't expect too much from it, like really in-depth stuff, but I don't want to diss kids' books or middle school grade books because I think that these kids are intelligent enough to handle a more detailed and exaggerated plot. So I'm still going to say that I was disappointed and this author could have done more, because just because this middle grade book is a middle grade book doesn't mean that you can't treat these kids like they're smart and give them an awesome, detailed, expansive plot, because the kids are smart, okay? So I'm gonna complain, and no matter who says, but it's just middle school grade book, so you can't blame it too much. Too bad. I'm gonna blame it because it could have been better. And that's the main issue I had with this. The second book was so good. I loved the intrigue, the back and forth, the secrets, all of this sort of stuff. Us learning more about Imagination and the world that he lived in. This book was disappointing because I wanted to learn more about the Rest-of-Ix and the sort of society they lived in, first-hand experience versus, oh, we heard about it from this person and this person and this person. And maybe even more about the universe as a whole and the different species that lived in it, the different alien species, because we know a lot exists and we know the Rest-of-Ix have been at this a long time. So again, I was kind of disappointed in that. Overall, I think it was a pretty good wrap up for what the series was. It did tie in all the ends, but I think it could have added more as well as tying it up rather than just being a really short book to tie up a trilogy. I still love this series. I still think it was a great series that just blended in all these different concepts together that I hadn't really seen before, and I liked how it ended. I wasn't disappointed in that. I was just disappointed that this book could have had more information about creatures that we've only really just heard about and seen in action, but we could have seen like them in their own habitat, and I didn't get that. But otherwise, I think it's a pretty good wrap-up. It's just like, it's a wrap-up book. It's one of those end books where it's like, here are all the things we left untied. Let's fix them. And it was decently done, right? But again, I wanted more story as well added for things that I was curious about. I like the inventive nature of this book. I like how it adds in characters and it gives the characters personalities. It's more so than just, oh, here's a side character or here's an adult character. It gives each character sort of personality and stuff. However, again, I'm just gonna keep harping on it. That 1 year that Jack's gone, it's just over, right? It's like, oh, he gets captured. oh, it's a year later, oh, he's back where he started. And I'm just like, what happened in that year? We get little hints and pieces of what happened, of what other people went through, but I would have liked to see more, even if the author had added in just other points of view in that year and just been like, oh, Jack is captured, and we didn't see any of the Rustovik territory until Jack got rescued. I would have liked to see a little chapters of like how the people on the other side, other than Jack, experienced. I thought that would have been an interesting, it would have been like a little different because most of this book is told from Jack's point of view, but have a couple of chapters where like his buddy, android buddy, tells the story of like, oh my gosh, Jack is gone, this is how the world's reacting, or Allegra, or the other kid, Sword Kid, or any of these other characters that we know Jack is close to, their reactions to how it was him being taken and how they reacted over the year or so that he was gone. And I think that would have not only beefed up the book, but added in more than just, oh, a few hours later, title card, and then we're there a few hours later and we don't get to see what happened in those hours. So overall, I think the series is pretty good. I think it's just a standard middle grade book. I do think that I can expect more from a middle grade book than most people do, because I believe kids are smart enough to figure it out. And I've never really believed in reading ages because I never followed reading ages, so I just assume that if you get a kid a book, they'll eventually figure out what the book's talking about, right? So it's really weird. But if you have read this Jack Blink series, sort of give me your ideas. Did you like this last book, or did you think that there should have been more to it, that you were expecting a little more information about the world and about the characters in the world rather than just, oh, here are all the ends that we need to tie together? So if you like what you're seeing here and you want to continue to see more, click all those bunnies down below, and goodbye, internet.